few weeks back I did a comparison video of Graptopetalum Superbum and Graptopetalum Purple Delight. But I think it's high time I made this stunning succulent star of the show. Superbum used to be known as a subspecies of Graptopetalum pentandrum, but it is said Superbum is now classified as a separate species. It's native to Mexico and because of its striking beauty has been given the name Superbum, which in Latin means superior, excellent, superb or distinguished. And in my opinion, it certainly is all of those things. And it's also not that hard to grow, but at the same time I wouldn't say it's a beginner friendly plant. Superbum grows as a small multi-branch shrub to about 20 cm or 8 inches in height and width. Each branch ends in a rosette to approximately 12 cm or 5 inches. The size very much depends on the growing conditions and can vary based on climate, weather, root space and position. The chunky leaves have a flat appearance and are an oblong shape. Each leaf has a pointy tip. They are covered in a thick layer of farina. This white waxy substance acts like a sunscreen for succulents. The farina is also responsible for this superb and very attractive pastel color. During the growing season, Superbum tends to be a light lilac color, but once stressed, the leaves can become a darker shade of lavender. The color tends to be quite uniform across the whole plant. Graptopetalum Superbum is a sun lover and will grow best in a bright sunny spot outdoors. It does tolerate outdoor shade and filtered light, but is likely to be less colorful. It can grow leggy, tall and stretched as a result. Fungal diseases are also more likely to attack when succulents are grown in shaded and humid spots. Sadly, Superbum is not suitable to be grown indoors long term and will likely eventually die unless you have plant growing lights, a sunroom or a huge sunny window. It should, however, tolerate overwintering and short stays indoors as long as it's kept in a super bright spot. This succulent can be grown in pots as well as frost-free gardens. If grown in pots, repotting every year or so will ensure a healthy multi-branched plant. Graptopetalum in general tolerate being root bound well, but can lose quite a few leaves to cope with the cramped conditions. Superbum may also not grow big if not given enough root space. If you only get light frosts and no snow during winter, you can grow this succulent in the garden. To help it establish and grow better, mix any type of potting mix in with the garden soil. The roots of this plant tend to be quite thin and can find it difficult to break through hard garden soil. By cultivating and mixing in a bit of potting mix, you'll add nutrients and improve the soil structure. When growing succulents in the garden, it's best to choose a slope, raised beds or a spot where water doesn't pool after the rain. While Graptopetalum will tolerate poor potting media, they will grow best in a succulent potting mix when grown in pots. It will have the right pH and nutrients tailored to succulent plants. From personal experience growing succulents in the Graptopetalum genus, water is usually not an issue with most. However, Superbum is a bit susceptible to powdery mildew and edema. It will tolerate quite a bit of rain, but if it's been raining for a few consecutive days, moving it under cover may be needed. I grow all my Superbum outdoors, but when it's mildew season and super wet, they get moved into a greenhouse and treated with fungicide. Fingers crossed I've not yet had one rot or get attacked by other serious fungal disease. If you're ever in doubt though, bring it under cover during prolonged rain just in case. Plants grown under cover should be watered once they dry out from previous watering. In summer, this could mean watering a few times per week and almost not at all during the cold months. If you want a pristine farina, watering the soil only will help achieve that. Superbum is drought tolerant and will live for months without any water. But in my opinion, it should not be left too dry for too long as it may start losing leaves. Temperature-wise, Superbum will tolerate heat well over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit, though it should be moved out of the sun once it gets this hot. If exposed to direct sun during extreme heat waves, the leaves can suffer sunburn and the plant could die, especially when planted in dark-colored pots. It's said Superbum is not very frost hardy. It can get frostburn and even die when temperatures drop below -1 Celsius. Frost cloth can be used to protect your succulents from the occasional frost, but if your climate gets snow, I'd advise to bring this plant indoors for the duration. Superbum can be propagated from seed, leaf and cuttings of offsets. Personally, I think seed propagation is not worth it as it can take too long and it can be hard to find a reliable seed seller. For fast results, propagating cuttings is the best method. As long as there's a good enough stalk to cut through, the rosette can be propagated. If there's only one head, you can force new growth by topping or beheading. Cuttings should be left to dry for about 24 hours before planting. Once the wound is dry, they can then be planted into pots filled with succulent potting mix and transplanted into the garden or a bigger pot once enough roots develop. First roots should start growing in about 2 to 4 weeks and the plant will be ready to transplant in approximately 2 to 3 months. If you want lots of little superbums, leaves are very easy to propagate. They separate without breaking and have a really good success rate. Go for the biggest leaves at the bottom. A larger plant like the one here can provide a good 10 leaves. After separating a few, leave the leaves in a tray in a bright but shaded spot and wait for leaf babies to emerge. Once you get new growth, plant the leaves in trays or pots filled with succulent potting mix and wait a few months until the roots have grown well into the pot. In my experience, propagating is best done in spring. Summer is usually also good, but do be careful to protect your cuttings and leaves from strong sun as they burn easily. In climates where autumn and winter are mild, you can also propagate cuttings at the beginning of autumn. Personally, I stop propagating leaves by early to mid-summer so the plant has a chance to develop before winter. So, most Graptopetalum are quite susceptible to all pests that bother succulents. The Superbum is no different, and if you grow this plant, you'll likely encounter aphids, mealybugs, both root and foliar, and bigger pests such as snails, slugs, caterpillars and grasshoppers. Aphids are most common when inflorescences start growing in spring. If they go unchecked, they'll invade the whole plant. Root mealybugs can be a real pain as they are hiding out of sight in the soil. They particularly like root-bound plants, so do check on those roots every year or so if you're not reporting regularly. Just like the rest of the plant, the inflorescence is absolutely superb. The whole thing is huge and grows in multiple directions. The stem branches out and there must be a good 100 flowers in total. They have 5 petals and are star-shaped. The red markings on the cream petals are a work of art best admired from close up. Here in Australia, Superbum flowers at the end of winter and throughout early spring, but this can be different in other parts of the world. Graptopetalum are said to be non-toxic to dogs, cats, other pets, livestock and humans. Having said that, I would not advise chopping it up into a salad just in case. And that's it for today. I hope this video was useful, and if you have anything to add or would like to ask a question, you can do so in the comments below. To learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you so very much for watching.